XM Channel 141. I'm Harold Fisher. We're talking to Maryland State Senator C. Anthony Muse. He is running for the open seat of Prince George's County Executive. He is, of course, that seat being vacated by current County Executive Rush-Aaron Baker, who is running for governor. Lines are open if you have a comment or question at 202-319-7810, 202-319-7810. Before I go back to the phone lines, how are you different from County Executive Baker?
I think when you look at and here, independence matters. And I would say we would be a little bit different in that way. People always talk about the machine and the establishment. I don't like to use that jargon because I believe the people are the machine and they are the establishment. I would not be considered one that would go along with the establishment. I never have. I've never run on their ticket. I've never been a part of their ticket. I've always run independently of them. And I think some of our priorities would be different. I think he was well in doing what he did in terms of trying to advance us with economic development. I would like to build on that as well. I'm more people oriented. I kind of stand for the little guy, for people who can't make it. I look at the foreclosure crisis. No one wanted to address that. If I were county executive during this foreclosure crisis, I would have done what Baltimore did and what New York did. I would have sued the banks on behalf of our citizens. We lost thousands of homes. We stand to lose 6,000 more when the banks admitted to steering racial loans to Prince George's County. No one in the government stood up to say anything about it. I introduced a bill that would have gotten $1 billion back in Prince George's County. It failed by two votes. Can I read to you? It's Sunday in the Washington Post, in the section, the realtor section selling homes, etc. Listen to what I read. This is an ad by Long and Foster, and it's leading me someplace that I want to say something to you about. It says, premium foreclosure homes for sale. Oak Creek, Beech Tree, Woodmore, and more. Lots of inventory. Call today for a private showing. Our people they bought homes and they had banks say to them, gee, even though your credit rating is as good as a counterpart who may be of a different nationality, we're going to give you an ARM. We're going to give you an ARM loan. We're going to give you a balloon loan. People bought homes. They ballooned beyond what they were. The banks required they would have their appraisal, only the bank's appraisal. They over-appraised the homes, came back. The homes are underwater. And now the demographics of our county are changing because you have to be the judge of this. When you say a private showing for foreclosed homes, and you look at the area where these homes are, our county is big enough for everyone, white, black, Latino, Asian, but we should not be pushing a certain group of people out for a certain group of people to come in. I think that's the wrong way. I think that this is a part of changing the demographics of our county. It's happened before, and it's happening now. I've been a part of trying to address it through legislation. I've been a part of the hearings. And again, the banks paid billions of dollars and admitted. That's what we did in Baltimore City and Prince George's County.
Let me stop you there. We have on this program, what is this, 2017, for almost 9 years, we have discussed exactly what you're talking about.
And it's still happening.
But here's the other side of that argument.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a homeowner too.
Sure, so am I.
And we just like when you're shopping for cars, you're shopping for clothes. If you are not an informed consumer, because one of the things you have the option, particularly if you have Woodmore Oak Creek money, then you have Woodmore Oak Creek credit. And with that said, you also have the power to vote with your feet. Mm-hmm. On this program, we have had people who have called in, and and this was during the foreclosure. And I remember specifically, I asked a lady with an $80,000 a year salary, single person buying an $800,000 home. I said to her, Why did you do that? Her response was, because I wanted it.
Well,
hold on.
Sure.
So this is my point. Yes, we know that there was discriminatory lending. Yes, that we know that there was redlining and there was steering, not just in Prince George's County, but all the way across the country in Los Angeles. We can talk about that.
Sure.
That was a national issue. And in Prince George's County, the most affluent municipality in this country with the most highly educated, most intelligent people
Sure.
of color, not every single person was duped. There were some people, I wanted
Sure.
people there. So, so with that said,
Well,
how,
sure.
how do you fix it now?
Well, listen, I'm not going to allow us to blame my constituency when the banks admitted
Oh,
we
yeah,
steered
and I'm
the
not
only
saying that.
kinds of loans that we wanted to Prince George's County. They were able to give loans, and that was shown in court. If she made $80,000, then whether you were white male or whatever, they only made $80,000 as well. That was shown, but she got a loan that said, gee, because of your credit, it's going to be an arm. And at the end of these 5 years, if you pay interest only, we're going to give you a regular loan, a regular loan, principal and interest. You have this gentleman here, for example, $80,000, but he gets the lower interest rate. He gets the principal. This person believes I'll be able to change that. And then at the end of that arm, they tell them, not only is your house not worth what we told you it was worth, but now we're going to have to increase your interest rate, and we're going to give you a loan beyond. Now, you're already in the house.
Right. So how do you fix it now?
Right now, first of all, the courts have got to back up on and look at the procedure that the federal government is putting in place for modification, which did not work in our county. It was a joke in our county. The banks were supposed to modify. They were given money to take homes that were upside down, and it was proven that they were doing this in Reston, Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia. I worked with our attorney general and coming up with the legislation. What my legislation said was simple. Do a study to see how much of that money is flowing back to make people whole in Prince George's County who were affected by this. I'm not talking about your person who's greedy and then not making good decisions, but because there were standards, there were guidelines. Just the study alone, had we shown that, would have released $1 billion to our county, and our attorney general, Brian Frosh, was with me on it, and certain developers in our county fought me on that, and the president of the Senate switched 2 votes. Now, I had all the Republicans voting on this. Go Prince George's County. We're finally going to get some money into Prince George's County. No, you can't handle all of them, but no one is going to tell me that having 6,000 more homes on the docket and having an ad like this, luxury foreclosed homes, and only by private viewing only, that suggests something to me that isn't good, and that's why I am.
I don't want to get too down
Sure.
in the weeds. The private thing, just pick up the phone. If you want to be a private viewer, pick up the phone.
Well,
I mean that's semantics.
I wouldn't say it's that easy, and I'll tell you why. It depends on what you're going to be shown and what you're going to be told.
I know, but I want to get to this.
Got you.
Obviously, the housing issue is arguably the biggest issue, probably next to taxes.
Right.
I'm sorry, next to education, depending on whether or not you have children
Correct.
in the county. But obviously that's something that whoever will be the next Prince George's County executive will have to
to
address.
deal with. I agree.
Let's go to Twana. Twana calling from Landover. Thanks for calling, Twana. What's on your mind?
Hi, I've been hearing so much, I almost lost my train of thought.
A lot going on.
Thanks for being on Connect the Muse. My concern and my question is, being a grandparent, having children in the PG County school system, I was quite stunned when I went to back to school night last week and was concerned about a child's reading level, and I was told by the teacher that there is a thing in Prince George's County called No Child Left Behind. So even if a child is reading on a 6th grade level, they will promote that child to the 8th grade regardless and will not notify anyone about testing.
That is correct.
How would you address that, and how would you handle that?
In the hearings that I've been conducting across the county, we found out that, in fact, is the policy. One, we don't want to pay for a student to be held back a year because you've got to pay twice for that student. serving on the education subcommittee and watching how we have this bell curve that someone can actually graduate reading on an 8th grade level. And that might do us good, but it doesn't do the person good who's going out into the world. One of the things that I'm advocating, one, is a stop to that social promotion. I'd rather pay the extra year than to be paying for them for the rest of their lives. Number two, everyone is not going to go to college, and we are certainly graduating persons who are, and many of them are doing great. They're doing good, but there's a large portion of them that are having to take remedial courses. We looked at that. We looked at the study by University of Maryland, and many of them are having to take, a large percentage of them are having to take remedial everything. So one, you've got to slow down, look at where these students are failing. If it's reading, take some of these other courses out and put in reading courses. Go back to phonics, go back to teachers' aides, go back to tutoring. If we have to go back to summer school, as we need summer school and summer jobs, you go back to that. Missing in our schools is a sense of vocational training, so that if a person decides I'm not going to go to school, I would propose starting in the 9th grade to the 12th grade, having vocational training and certified training so that when our students graduate, they not only have the piece of paper, but they are certified, whether it's cosmetology, nails, electrician, being an electrician. There's a way of getting that done. Others are doing it. I want to see us do it. What we can't do is just push students on for the sake of us as politicians saying, gee, look at how great we've done. We've got great areas, but let's also admit where we're not doing well. These kids are more important than a badge of honor.
Okay, thank you, Twana, for your phone call. Lennox calling from Bowie. Thanks for calling, Lennox. What's on your mind?
Harold, Harold, you got me, because I'm telling you, I was calling about one thing, and your statement just made me think about this other one about the housing matter.
Well, go ahead and talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay, here's the issue. While I've never been a really true fan of Mr. Muse, I have to acknowledge the fact that he has made some very good points. One as
Whoa. Lennox, are you still there? Lennox, I think we lost you. Call back, okay? And I promise I will take your call. You may have gone through
I am here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Go again.
I'm here.
So,
Hey, okay.
make your point.
All I was saying that all I'm saying is this. The solution for the problem would be the same thing that they do with stocks. If you apply an aspect of saying that there has to be a standard for what is considered to be qualified or to get into a house of a certain,
Correct.
to get into a house of, say, $500,000, this is the required income and credit score that you have to have, period. That's what they do when you're purchasing stocks as a qualified investor. Why can't you do the same thing for doing it for property, especially when it's going to be something where it's going to be possibly utilized as some form of investment at a later
No, I'm not
time?
We're not talking about investment. We're talking about people We're talking about people buying a home to live in, Lennox.
No, I got you. But see, the thing is that your home, as anybody will tell you, is your biggest investment.
Right. So what's your point? Because you're not making.
My point was this. Just what I'm saying. If you're going to go ahead to cut the foreclosure rate, make it such that people are truly going to be following a standardized system of qualifying written standards as opposed to what
I agree.
banks have
I
right
got
now as fly by night.
And I believe that that's what the federal government is moving to with HUD and all else. And that's what they're saying was violated. What was violated was those standards being ignored. It's not that the standards did not exist. The standards did exist. They were ignored. And yes, they're on the part of the consumer as well. Some are educated and some are not as educated. But the standards were certainly there. And I still would hold the banks who knew the standards more than persons more accountable, and so did the courts. But you're absolutely right.
What happens to buyer beware?
Well, and that was the point that I was making.
And I'm not saying I disagree with that.
Yeah.
However, again, the courts said yes, that is part of it. But they also, when you're paying billions of dollars in money, that punitive damages, the courts found that there was something wrong. I guess for any one of these cases, someone would fit in any one of them. I'm trying to find the most vulnerable and our seniors and others who were duped as well, and dealing with them, and then we move from there. But I thank you for that.
Thank you, Lennox. I appreciate your phone call. Sheena calling from Annapolis. Sheena, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Hi. I'm calling. I was a former educator in Prince George's County.
Okay.
Graduated from Prince George's County Schools. So my question to you is, what are you going to do for the teachers? What are you going to do to keep the teachers motivated to want to stay in the county? Worked in the county for a couple of years, Title I, loved my students, but I felt underappreciated. And so I decided to leave. So my question is to you, what is your plan to get the teachers to, to have the teachers motivated to stay and continue to do the work that they're doing with the kids?
Before you answer that, Senator Muse, I need to take a break, and we'll come back and we'll answer that question real quick. Sheena, are you still teaching?
I am teaching. I've gone
Where?
to another county.
Where?
I'm at Arundel County now.
You're Anne Arundel County. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, stay on the line. We'll answer your question after the break. Yvonne from Bowie, we're going to talk to you. And Mellon, Maryland, we're going to talk to you. We're talking to State Senator C. Anthony Muse. He's running for Prince George's County Executive. We'll be back in just a moment.